Welcome to the Parker Podcast Collection.
So much has happened since I last saw you. I lost my hammer, like yesterday, so that's still pretty fresh. And then I went on a journey of self-discovery, where I met you. Where are we? You have no idea. Hela, the goddess of death, has invaded Asgard.
Oh, I've missed this.
And you and I had a fight recently.
Did I win?
No, I won, easily.
Doesn't sound right.
Well, it's true.
Asgard is dead. And it'll be reborn in my image. I thought you'd be glad to see me.
I need to stop her here and now to prevent Ragnarok, the end of everything. So I'm putting together a team. Like the old days.
Surprise! This will be such fun.
Hello.
Hi.
He's a fighter.
Here we go! I'm not a queen or a monster. I'm the goddess of death. What were you the god of again?
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley.
Thor-Ragnarok, the latest Marvel movie. We both saw this last week.
We did. We both enjoyed it.
Yeah, I found it very enjoyable. I think it's probably the best one of the Thor movies, in my opinion. I think like the first one was quite good. It definitely had that whole kind of man out of time vibe. But the second one I thought was a little bit lame. It sort of felt like a bit of a Doctor Who episode, and I thought it had, I don't know, I think this one benefited from not being set on Earth really at all.
Yeah,
very much.
I think so. I think, although, I mean, I mentioned this at the time, and I don't think it was meant to come across as anything bad per se, but I think that, and we'll go into it later, but I think as a summary for me, the third Thor movie, great Marvel movie, great Thor movie, but a piss poor sequel to the trilogy, or an end to the trilogy. Simply because of the weight of, the film seems a little schizophrenic for me. You can obviously see the bits that Marvel wanted to happen, like the continuation of the storyline. Are we dropping spoilers? I'm not sure.
Well, we can keep it sort of spoiler free.
Keep it spoiler free, but the element.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was saying the elements that continue the storyline that follow directly from the Dark World are kind of dealt with pretty swiftly, and just sort of brushed out of the way. And the things that happen in relation to Age of Ultron are also kind of dealt with, and they seem like half the film. But the other half is this fantastic, crazy journey where Thor goes from the I am mighty sort of character, almost a cliche, to the bumbling sort of almost a parody of himself, which I think is great because of his time spent with the Avengers. You know, he's learned to lighten up and almost become quite a goofball. And I really
didn't think about it that way. I didn't think about it that way, the way that like the Avengers might have rubbed off on him a bit.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I found it like, okay, because the first one he arrives and he's this very sort of stiff-necked, I'm a mighty warrior, everyone must, I drink ale and smash glasses. And then by the time he's met Tony Stark and everyone else, it's bound to have an effect on him. He's basically lived amongst Earth's mightiest, kookiest heroes. So by the time we see him again, he's a bit like, he's still got the serious whatever, but he's more chilled, and he's more chilled towards his brother, you know, like, I know you're a trickster, whatever. No spoilers, but he just seems like a slightly more rounded character. But that being said, I walked away from the cinema wondering whether Marvel did this in direct response to the way that the second film was received.
Yeah, I think they've just kind of leaned into the most successful elements of those films, which has been the humour, which has been Chris Hemsworth's really good comic timing. You know, like, he can't just be good looking and like an amazing actor and really rich. He has to be funny as well. Damn it!
I know, but it's sickening.
Yeah, I know.
But I thought it was really weird because I thought that the parts that took place elsewhere were great. The comic timing, the director coming in, and all that. I thought they were fantastic, but I couldn't help but think that it was a little bit of Marvel knowing that the director had this humour style that fitted in with the humour style they already had for Guardians, which banked a lot of money, because it's all about money with Marvel and Disney. And they knew that it would be a good fit.
Yeah, I mean,
rather than letting the director, because that's the thing, I thought the director's done some great stuff. I didn't realise it was that guy until he started speaking as the character. I went, oh shit, it's him. But I just wonder whether whilst it seems like he's been given free rein to do his own quirky version of it, I wonder whether it was not quite as much of a gamble as everyone thought, because Marvel kind of looked at him and thought, well, the humour, placement and everything else is very similar to Guardians, which we know did well. So it's almost like, and it fits in with the Marvel style of film, which is high comedy, great one-liners, almost self-parodying of characters, you know, when it's not a spoiler, but there's a scene where he's trying to get into a computer system and he's trying to find out his password, and he goes, mightiest Avenger, and it's like, welcome Tony Stark, and stuff like that. So there's some great lines in it, and there's some really quirky characters, and the soundtrack is really fun. It does in keeping with the trailer. But I love the Led Zeppelin that was amazing. Although I do think the second usage of it lost a bit of something. If a second track was used, I would have enjoyed it a bit more.
It's like his theme tune. It's like it's his signature theme throughout the movie.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It is. The opening scene was amazing, though, just amazing. But
that's the thing. Yeah.
Go. Sorry. Yeah. Do you want to chime in? Because I feel like I'm talking for ages now. But
it's all right. No. I sort of wonder whether this is like the turning point, because I feel for a long time that Marvel have been leveraging their IPs to make successful 4-quadrant movies, you know, that appeal to everyone. That's been their mandate, you know. I don't know if it's since the Disney acquisition, but they very much. I think the difference is, you know, you can moan at DC as much as you like for like the dark tone and although that might be changing soon in Justice League. But the thing is, I feel like they're not so bothered. I don't want to say they're more bothered about honouring the character, because I don't feel they've done that. But with the Chris Nolan films, you know, it felt like they were honouring that superhero at the expense sometimes of it being an amazing film. Although The Dark Knight, I suppose, was pretty good. Amazing, in fact. But I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think I'm trying to say
that's the thing. There's a genre called dark comedy, which I think DC could tap into, where even though the situation is dire, they could still get a few lines out that would be humorous. And I think that's what the Nolan trilogy do. The situation is often quite grim, and it's a very gritty and, well, no pun intended, dark version of the Dark Knight's world. But with things like Michael Caine, I mean, there's one scene that always sticks with me, is when it's in the second film and they're basically going up on the lift from the underground thingy, and then he goes, oh, if they come for me, I'm going to tell them it's all your idea. And there's lots of little quips in there, and it's like the bit where Bruce Wayne takes out the van where the policeman's about to shoot the other person. He goes, oh, I was just trying to beat the lights. you know, in his Lamborghini, and there's little things, and that's I think they did very well in that to have dark humour, which worked very well.
I think what's breaking my analogy is that I'm using the Nolan films, which were very good.
Yeah.
I think the reason I didn't like Batman vs Superman was because, first and foremost, as a film, I don't think it was a good film. But I did think that they did Batman a certain amount of justice, and also Wonder Woman, you know. But I think, you know, you have I've got friends of mine who like really are fans of the DC movies.
Yeah.
But even though they're not very good films, because I feel like you can be a fan of the subject matter more than you are a fan of cinema, you know. And I feel like the Marvel films have always placed more of an emphasis on cinema than they have maybe the fan service.
Yeah. Do you know what's happened?
What?
We've entered a weird existence in which the films have literally mirrored comics. Because if you think of the genre of how comics are written, you'll always get some people that will be big fans of them and some people that won't be. And no matter how many genres they might seem alike, there'll be some titles that some people will always gravitate towards and some they won't. And I think Marvel... Yeah, go on, sorry.
You've got like the genre has reached a level of maturity that you have different people's interpretation in the same way that you have different writers on the comics, you know, their version of this, their run on that, you know, so you'll always refer to Nolan's run on Batman being 3 massive movies, you know. But now we're in the Snyder era, maybe approaching the Joss Whedon era. But in those days, you know, there's a lot more moving parts now because you have the different actors playing them. The thing that so astounds me, and I thought that the connections to the MCU in Thor Ragnarok were okay. They weren't quite as serious, but there were some developments in the final act that have some serious ramifications, I think, going forwards. But yeah, we can get a bit more spoilery now if you like.
Well, should we give an alert to the listener? This is the spoiler section.
Yeah, so
if you don't like the spoiler section, good luck.
Go and watch the movie and then come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we both liked it. I was surprised how much of an out and out comedy it was. I couldn't believe some of the sections were like even completely improv. I think all of Jeff Goldblum's stuff was pretty much the director saying, "Say this now, say this, or say what you like."
It was a bit weird. I was worried it was going to go a bit too screwball. You know, where some comedies feel as though they're trying a bit too hard. I was a little worried. Sometimes it was a bit. I thought there were 1 or 2 scenes that I found it harder to digest. I enjoyed it, but I feel as though they were a little bit longer. But that was because of the improv style of it. And I still found myself going, yeah, okay, that's cool, but that might be because I always saw the 4 films as slightly different to the rest, because the first one was, you know, Kenneth Branagh, and it was just going off the back of the last film, massive implications, you know. Odin's being put out somewhere, Loki's taken over the throne and pretending to be Odin, and it's like, holy shit, what the hell is going to happen next? And it left on such a dark tone. It was basically kind of almost like the Empire Strikes Back ending for the 4 trilogy.
In the Dark World, the second one.
Yeah, in the Dark World, the end of the Dark World. Which is why I was a little taken aback that this was quite so nuts. If it was another Thor film and the ending wasn't quite so leading into that, that's why I think I was taken aback a bit more, because I'd seen that film a few times.
Right.
So I had it a bit more fresh in my memory.
Yeah, I saw it last year when I did my big marathon thing.
Yeah,
was that last year, Civil War? I think so.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Actually, I think, yeah. But that's why that was the only issue I had with it. And it wasn't really much of an issue because I walked away really enjoying that film. I just thought that the bits that was so impactful, like half of the film, and everything else just seemed a completely different beat to the more upbeat, sort of crazy style thing. But then that might just be the Marvel way, and it got me thinking about how Infinity War is going to be, because initially I was thinking, holy shit, they're doing the lead up to Infinity War, which is this really big, dark, horrible, big bad, and they're going to have to take him out. But it seems like all the films are moving towards the Marvel, as you say, 4-quadrant comedy. And I don't know how Infinity War is going to sit with that, because I don't see Thanos as a wisecracking sort of villain. I see him more as a almost Megatron. His quips would be very punctuated by acts of brutality and, almost that sort of thing. I see him as a sort of Megatron of the Marvel series.
Yeah, well, we've only seen him in a few sort of like outtakes and like after credits stuff. But I don't know, he seemed like he had kind of a swagger the last time we saw him. I think it was at the end of Guardians 2, was it? I can't remember.
Which leads directly into Ragnarok, doesn't it? When he delivers the illustrious quote, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
Yeah. Well, we have a little, and we're in spoilers now. So when she goes, "Oh, fake," to the Infinity Gauntlet in that little off remark. In fact, Cate Blanchett, who plays, she's like the Angel of Death, isn't she? Hela.
Cate Blanchett, yeah.
Yeah.
Hela,
they're saying
death,
that. I have read the Infinity War comic, and I do know that Thanos is in love with the Angel of Death or Lady Death or something. And a lot of people are saying that it's probably going to be Cate Blanchett who he's wooing in the next one. They're going to they're going to just mash that together.
See, that will be interesting because Death was always a separate character. I don't know whether, because she says she's the goddess of death. I didn't know whether they were the same character, but it might, because it's the MCU, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they might just make the two characters one and the same. Yeah,
well, it's rather than them spending time introducing someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Why bother with that when they've got Cate Blanchett being awesome? I thought she was really good in this role, actually.
Yeah, I thought
she chewed the scenery suitably well.
Massively. Yeah. She was almost a female Negan at some points, but...
yeah, definitely. And well, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure like she had a bit of help with some of those stunts, but she pulled it off pretty well, I thought. Had the desired effect.
Yeah.
Other spoilery things. So the fact that the way they deal with the whole Loki thing, in that he's got this little play arranged, and you totally missed that Matt Damon was playing the stage version of Loki.
I was thinking, I was screaming at myself internally. I know that face. That face.
He's normally not got long hair and stuff. Yeah,
and
wearing green.
Damon. That was awesome. I still think they missed the trick by not playing Ben Affleck as Thor.
Well, I was thinking that
hilarious.
That or Jimmy Kimmel, because they have a kind of bit of a thing going on. And then Sam Neill was also popped up in that, and a few other sort of mainstays of other Taika Waititi films, like his assistant Rachel House, Jeff Goldblum's like henchwoman, Rachel House. She's in Hunt for the Wilder People, and also Taika Waititi himself plays Korg, and I noticed that Korg is actually a character from the Planet Hulk storyline. Yeah. So apparently they're going to be threading elements of that through like Infinity War and another future film.
Well, he did say he'd been, like I said, for another spoiler, he did say he'd been the Hulk for like 4 years or something, hadn't he? Which was insane.
Because I don't know, the MCU timeline is a little bit weird, but I guess that it's 4 years since Age of Ultron, which is scary. At least on this timeline. But what else was there? Oh yeah, so the other big surprise for me was the inclusion of Doctor Strange.
Oh yes, that was amazing. The moment I
really
saw
enjoyed that.
Oh god, sorry, geeking out of it. The moment I saw that little sparkling circle, I literally was like fidgeting.
I was like, I saw that and I was like, is it then I saw the address on the road, and I was like, "Is it?" Because I couldn't remember the actual address, but it was a bit Sherlocky, like, and I know that's kind of why he got cast for the role. But yeah, it was great.
I think he's such a great choice for that character. It
Yeah,
did throw me hearing him talk American again because I'd forgotten. So it's like you're kind of used to his Sherlock drawl or the Khan Noonien Singh one, which is pretty similar. But just hearing his sort of almost Boston-esque accent, sort of a la House, and I was just like, wow, he's become Doctor Strange. Because, you know, at the end of the first film, you're like, yes, he's Doctor Strange, but he's very much the newbie graduating by the end of the film. In this one, he's fully fledged mystic warrior.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's necessary. If he's going to be a reasonably big part of Infinity War, then they kind of have to show him mid-stride, as it were, if he's going to come in and be like a bit of an expert. So, yeah, I think it's good. And, you know, we haven't got time. There's not another Strange film before that. No. So it's kind of had to be done. And I really thought it was cool that they held that back because, you know, I was almost annoyed that I knew that Hulk was going to show up, like, because they keep referring to the champion and stuff. That would have been so great if you'd seen that in the cinema and didn't know about it. But I feel like they had to do that for the publicity. And so this Doctor Strange thing was almost like an apology for that in a way, because you still got that kind of feeling. And I don't think there's been another cameo in a Marvel movie quite on that level, really, because like someone who got their own film showing up without you realising. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. I thought it was fantastic. And it was so much. It wasn't just like a little part either. It was
the whole Earth section.
It was
pretty
part
much
of the plot section to get him to Odin. It was a massive part of the plot. And also it was quite funny because then Thor's like, what, Earth has warlocks now? It's like, and I loved Loki's line when he goes, oh, and your brother, and he goes, I have been falling for 30 minutes. It was brilliant.
Well, he kind of deserves it. Lots of references to Loki being smacked around as well, which was quite funny.
Oh god, that was so funny.
See how it feels?
That's how it feels.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh man. There was one thing that I found quite cool about the whole Doctor Strange cameo. The Infinity Eye.
Oh,
the
right,
Eye of Agamotto wasn't around his neck.
Oh,
because they would have made a point of that when he was silhouetted. It wasn't around his neck, so his powers were up to speed, and he was still researching bits, you know. But I just found that I thought it was great that he'd become a character in his own right. Without that, it wasn't like he was Doctor Strange because he was smart enough to be able to use this Infinity Stone. Spoilers if you haven't seen Doctor Strange. To kind of boost his powers. So it seems like his power is strong enough without that.
Yeah, no, he's cool, and he just did his bit, and then he was off, and the film carried on. But no, it was pretty cool. I'm just trying to think of just some of the main beats, really. I mean, I thought all the action was pretty damn solid.
The whole sort of the population being safeguarded by, was it Heimdall?
Heimdall, yeah.
I'm sorry, I love that look. It was amazing, sort of like Forest Ranger Heimdall look.
It was good that he got something else to do other than just sit there and wait for them to come and go.
He looked so cool.
Yeah, with the gold contacts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's badass, man. Absolutely.
There was that. I mean, the fact that Helga, she took out all of Asgard pretty much.
Yeah, that's a big thing, I suppose. You know.
But then, by the time you reach the end of the film, you realise it doesn't matter that she took out all of the guards, because I was thinking, God, how are they going to fight her? There are no guards left. There's no like cannon fodder for them to like take an extra hit, whilst the main character's not going to take that hit and be able to make like the strike they need to. Because you start anticipating how like the battle would go, but you kind of think everybody's dead. And was that Carl Urban as the executioner?
Yeah, Scourge.
Yeah,
another kind of, I don't know, I felt like he got quite a lot of screen time, but not like a lot of lines, and
No.
I don't know. He seemed a little bit extraneous, really. I think
he was the villain redemption sort of thing because she sure as hell wasn't going to do it. So there's always got to be a character that learns a lesson. I think in a Marvel thing that seems to be the thing, and there weren't any characters that would do that in the film, apart from maybe Loki and Thor.
Yeah,
they learn to reconcile and not reconcile, but accept.
Yeah, it's like they have to cooperate. I thought Ray Stevenson, Volstagg, he was kind of offed pretty unceremoniously.
Yeah, bloody hell! After all that,
yeah, I know he was quite a big part of the other two.
That's why I was a little bit pissed. I think that's why my face was pulling the weird face as we left the cinema. I didn't quite know how to feel. I felt thoroughly entertained, but I felt like a lot of the lore got lobotomized. Quite unsurgically, just like taking a sledgehammer to someone's head. But
I'm just seeing here Luke Hemsworth was playing the actor Thor with Matt Damon, so that's his brother.
So it was his brother. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Sorry.
No. I love trivia bits like that. That's really quite fun. But I don't know. I just think that the end. Oh god, and the whole way that they managed to do Ragnarok, sort of like fulfilled a legendary prophecy, but in the kind of fitting sci-fi, sort of, Thor way of mixing magic and lore together and science, and it was just What was the Ragnarok then? Just the destruction of Asgard? Well, yeah, it was literally the giant Fire Lord Surtur rises and takes everyone out, and Thor and funny enough, the giant serpent that Thor was fighting, I was giggling because that was on the cover of a metal album by Amon Amarth, where you got Thor holding this tongue of a serpent dragon and he's about to strike it with a hammer. So I was just like giggling like an idiot when the screen turned up, and I was like, wow. But yeah, the whole idea is that I think originally Fenrir the wolf, and it's meant to be like a multi-legged horse, so basically offsprings of Loki. But that's too weird for Marvel. So, which is saying something. So yeah, they just basically made them related to either Surtur, the Underlord, Demon Lord, and Hela, the Goddess of Death.
Oh, okay.
They kind of rewrite stuff anyway. I mean, to be honest, it's fitting, isn't it? It's Thor. They take the concept of it. You got Thor, you have to have Odin, you have to have Loki as his brother. And then the rest you kind of fit around, which I thought was quite good. I did like the idea that there was a dark past to Asgard, though. When she takes all the sealing off.
That was cool.
And
I
it was
liked
the
all
fact
those
that
flashbacks.
they had built Asgard by basically enslaving the Nine Realms, and I was like, holy shit, because Odin was supposed to be like, the warrior of warriors, but when you see him, he's an old man that's like quite fatherly and kingly and portly.
Yeah, there's so much going on in this movie. It reminded me now.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is why I had a slight issue with it, because I almost felt there were two films going on. There was almost like, the Thor in the scrap heap and the planet with Jeff Goldblum and what was his name? The Master Controller or something like that. I can't remember his
Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster, yeah. That almost felt like an entirely...
You're about to meet the Grandmaster.
And he was like, oh, yes, yes. Yeah, you're excused to nothingness.
With the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory music.
God, yeah. That felt like a completely different film. It felt like I was watching two films at the same time. It's almost like I'd binged a double bill back to back. It was almost like that was like an intermediary film on its own, and then when he got back to Asgard, it was like the finale. So in a sense, there were almost like four films, and these were stitched together in a sense.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the writing credits. There's 3 writers on it, all of which are steeped in previous Marvel credits.
But then again, I mean, anyone that says, "Oh God, get better writers," Marvel comics are great. I've read some Marvel comics where I've kind of left a comic thinking, "What?"
Yeah.
So, exactly.
No,
I thought it was really good.
It's almost like it's like the inverse of Civil War in a way, because Civil War was, at the end of the day, quite a serious film.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was like it's almost like a totally
it's the flip of the
polar
coin,
opposite.
isn't it?
Yeah, and then this is like the B-side, the crazy, wacky B-side with all of the other characters that you didn't see in Civil War. Basically, meanwhile in space.
Yeah. I think that was my only issue with the film, which isn't really an issue, is more just a personal slight preference, which isn't any sort of slight on the film at all. Because, like I said, I thought it was a great film. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I left the cinema feeling, the moment "Immigrant Song" kicked in by Led Zeppelin, I was bouncing in my seat and going, yeah.
Oh, the way
I just found that, like Civil War, if you put the 3 Captain America films together, they kind of follow through. The beats might be slightly different in one to another, but they kind of follow through. Whereas I'm not sure how this would work in the Thor trilogy. It feels fantastic in the Marvel MCU, but as the 3rd film in a trilogy, I think it's half right, but the craziness and the fun and the batshit insanity of it might just make it seem a little bit alien to the other 2, which isn't a bad thing, because I think it needed a bit of injecting, a bit of fun. I love some of the lines from this Dark World when, in the first one, when Loki was trying to get him through the secret passage, and then they're freaking out completely in one of those longboats, and then he bounces through, and then you just hear a voiceover go, "Da-da!" there are all those quirky things are already in there, and they should have amped him up. But I just don't know whether, looking at just these 3 films as they are, the 3rd one is like, okay, he's done a load of speed, and this is what's happened. But like I said, that's my only. If I had to put on a devil's advocate cap and look at the other side of the coin, that would be the only thing I would say. But I still thought it was a really fun film. I want to see what they do next.
I'm just looking forward to seeing how all this clashes with all the tension and the situation that Civil War ended in, with half of them in prison and stuff.
Yeah,
and quite a dark tone.
That might be why they haven't gone to Earth then, because if he turns up on Earth, they'll have to at least address some of that, which might be why Earth was absent.
Yeah, maybe. And as far as like the little teasers at the end, I'm guessing that's Thanos turning up because Loki pocketed the Tesseract, right?
Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it? It's got to be. Why else would he bother?
Yeah, he's after those stones. So yeah, he'll be coming. Well, I mean, well, what happened to the Mind Stone? Isn't that on Earth?
What was the Mind Stone?
I know you said that Doctor Strange didn't have it, but
what is it? The Mind Stone, or was that the? Oh God,
the time stone.
Time
sorry.
Stone. Yeah, no, he does have it, but I reckon it's back in the, because they actually, I didn't know this. I might have to look again, because they do appear in that little sort of like, I don't know, mystic hallway where the stone usually sat, but you don't get a good look at the room because they keep jumping around.
In Asgard,
at one point, I'm sure
in Asgard.
No, not Asgard. In the Doctor Strange world, he's got the other.
Yeah, I know there was the little spot where it was, but you don't see that in Thor.
No, that's what I mean. You don't get a good enough look at the room. They buzz into the room at one point, and you just see like a couple of angles, but you don't get a good shot of the room. So it could have been in there. But
maybe they were lending it out.
I thought was pretty cool because he's not dependent on that.
No, well, it's a special item, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Anyway, yeah, that'll do it, I think.
This has been the Not Watching Podcast in partnership with notlistening.co.uk, where you can also hear myself, Marcus and Ian talk about video games and virtual reality on the Not Playing Podcast, and Adam, Ash and Will talk about all manner of funny things on the Not Listening Podcast. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for this show at notlistening.co.uk, and if you're listening to us on iTunes, then please do give us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. See ya!